It's me, Luigi Mangione. The fuck out of here. Forget about it. Forget about it. Come on. What's up? It's Adam Pecora, actually. Could have fooled you there. Welcome to Requiem for a Tuesday. How the hell are you? We got a Luigi Mangione-filled episode today, I imagine. We'll see how it plays out. But thanks for tuning in. December is here. Last week was still December, but, you know, we're in the full flux now. Ain't no going back now, as they say. And it's Luigi Mangione. I just can't believe that that's that guy's name, really, at all. Rate, review, subscribe. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're probably on it. Give us a review that's good only, or I will stalk you and shoot you with a gun. Just kidding. Comedy, right? That's comedy, right? You know, just say you're going to murder someone, but then say it's comedy. And you're good. That's how the law works. No, I don't know. I'm not going to do anything to anybody, probably. And just kidding. Anyway, rate, review, and subscribe, or else. And yeah, we're on YouTube. There's music, Multiplex, WolfX, Instagram, Adam.RFAT, merch, rfat.bigcartel.com. Check out all the links in the description below to find some of that good stuff. Now back to our man Luigi. Listen, I, like most of America, or I don't know, whatever. I'll just throw that claim out there. I, like many people, found this case to be very interesting, if not riveting. Just because, how do you do it? How do you shoot a man? Broad daylight? Oh, I suppose it was like sunrise, so technically broad daylight would be incorrect. Let me get the facts straight. Regardless, it's early morning in front of what I presume is a very nice hotel. Now, it is Midtown, not a big Midtown guy. I don't think that that's controversial to say at all. Midtown blows. In comparison, I guess. Like, would I rather be in Midtown Manhattan than, like, you know, bumfuck Arkansas? Of course. You know, apply that to 48 other states. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You get the point. Like, so that there's always that, you know, the Midtown factor. Not that I'm aware of what area of New York would be worse to be in at any given moment in time. But I imagine Midtown, you know, it just fits the bill. Fits the bill? I don't know. Is that right? I feel like everything I do is just like... I just have a breakdown real quick. Like, man, I'm just so fucking stupid. No. Well, I mean, you know, don't answer that. That's not the point, though. I'm fine. So, yeah, he just gets away, right? And it seems like, oh, it's like the perfect crime. Like, oh, he goes to Starbucks. What a flex. But then it's like, oh, they got some DNA. It's like, well, if the guy has no record, does that matter unless they catch somebody? I think no, right? Like, you just have it forever until maybe you find a guy. I don't know. You know, I'm no forensics expert. But okay, it's like he coordinates it perfectly. It's like, hey, just shoot him and run. There's nobody around. The gun is silenced, which I didn't understand at first. I was like, still no matter what. Which even with the silencer, but that does buy you some time, I imagine, for sure, I guess. Or just at the very least, it like limits it to true witnesses, right? There's nobody who's like, I heard a gentle little, and I was like, maybe that's a gun with a silencer. I think even the police would be like, I guess we'll check. But you know, the bang, everybody hears a bang, reports a bang, you're fucked. So maybe that had something. Anyway, cuts through an alley, a rare New York alley. How many alleys do they even have? More than you would think, but you know, that in New York, Chicago, oh, they got the alleys. It's like, yes, we do, and it does help. But to say that there's like 0 alleys is inaccurate. And whatever. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I just don't. Okay, so he gets through the alley. And did he plant the bike? They're saying he's there 10 days early. He's scoping things out. He gets sloppy with the girl at the hostel. He shows his face because she asks in a flirty way. Listen, my issue, I guess, that I'm trying to get to is like outside of the hostel photo. This thing, people are like, this is a hired assassin. Now, he missed at point blank range, so, you know, shout out Eric. You were right about that. I missed all that information at first. But anyway, the point is, they're just like, this crime was planned. And look, I assume if I sat here and put energy into like devising a way to do something like, yeah, I could probably problem solve. It's just something you would never actually think of and plan out. But like, you know, any talking head detective guy in a true crime show will tell you to pay cash and move around a bunch and not be traceable in a certain way and to do ... Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can pretty much blueprint how it should go. So I guess, I don't know. I just don't understand how you go from getting most of the details right, managing to get away, to get through to Central Park, to leave Central Park, to get on a bus, and you're not being pulled, the bus is not being pulled over and you're being taken out of there by just simply being followed. You got out. And then for it to just be fucking Luigi Mangione, that's what it is? It's some fucking kid named Luigi Mangione. I guess I'm just bummed out that this is the result. It's like, you know, outside of major situations where like it definitely, you know, JFK, probably 9/11, the CIA did something. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way, and too much contrary evidence and too many convenient little things, you know, the fucking Warren report bullshit where it was just like, well, is that what it is? Commission? Whatever. You know what I mean? Where all of that was like very manipulated and all the wrong people, like his enemies were on it, you know, and it's just all too fishy. It's all too fishy. There's no reason for this really to be some type of conspiracy in which law enforcement would be on board. So like, I guess my point is just like, I want to jump there to be like, well, what? Now all of it, this is just too convenient that they just found this kid and he has here's a bag full of all the evidence, sir. I kept it all on me. And it's just like, oh, it's just over. It went from we have no information to it's over. And I get that, like an investigation, you don't leak every element of the investigation, blah, blah, blah. You're going to fuck it up. But they were like, we have the guy's name, but we don't want to release the name. But they found the guy through like a tip who just like recognized him. So like some of that stuff is odd, but it just doesn't add up as to why they would like need to cover this up. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe somebody from like fucking Blue Cross Blue Shield was involved. I don't know. But for it to be back to, I understand I'm bouncing around here. I guess the point I'm just trying to make, you know, you show up on a bus, you pay cash, you move around, blah, 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 blah. You make the slip up with the face. But I mean, you show your face one fucking time for half a second and we're like on a low res thing and we're going to be like, hey, we can find him no matter what. Okay. You know, you succeed, you get away. You go to Central Park and you don't. Okay, you ditch the backpack. So why didn't that backpack have all the stuff that you're found with you now? You know, and if one of those things is a manifesto, wouldn't you want it to be discovered in Central Park? Where it's like, oh, the murderer probably left this here, but now I'm gone. You know, and it's like, oh, well, does the did he not pre-plan it enough to where he's like handwriting a manifesto and leaving prints all over it, and now he's second guessing it? It's like, then burn it, bro. Type it and get it out. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And it's like, oh, I still have the gun. Why would you keep the gun? There's no reason to keep the gun. You never keep the gun, especially if it's a 3D printed untraceable gun. Excuse me? And it's like, did you manage to cover your face and hide from everybody in the entire city of New York outside of one chick at a hostel, but you didn't wear gloves for the shooting? Like, would that be the reason? And it's like, either way, you got away. You could have wiped that shit off at some point in time. It's just like, how do you butcher that? I just wanted the story to be more interesting, is my point. I wanted this to be like fucking DB Cooper type shit. Like, how did this happen? So I don't know. That's really all my point is. Luigi Mangione. You got to be fucking kidding me. And hey, maybe there'll be some patriots out there who, you know, put the word out and they get things to line up a different way, and maybe I change my mind. The thing is just like, why this one? You know what I mean? It doesn't really move the needle. You know? And also, my whole thing also with this thing is like the amount of people that are just like, this is awesome. And then it's like, okay, like you posted a meme about it where somebody said this is awesome. And you know, that's, you know, you're making a joke out of it. I guess that's one thing. And then you'll see that same person post another thing that clearly they got a bad reaction to sharing that. And then they go, it's a double down. And it's like, if you think that like, it's not fine to joke about this, you're the problem. And it's kind of just like, no, that's not accurate. You know, you want to make jokes, whatever. Ultimately, you know, you can't stop people from making jokes. That's not what I'm trying to say. A lot of them are in very poor taste, but whatever. I still laugh at them, and they're funny, and that's fine, and that's the objective. But then when you're like, I'm gonna step out of the joke, and I'm gonna explain to you why it's how I really feel. It's like, well, that's not what the spirit of a joke is. So you weren't making one. So, you know, that's where it's like, this is just kind of fucked up. You're like, ha, 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 ha. Look at this video of this guy getting murdered. Like, that's the best. It's like, what? In no situations is that true. You know, like, unless it is like, we killed a dictator who's responsible for a lot of deaths. And I know that you're going to argue, like, the argument's like, this CEO is responsible for blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, but, like, the company is the problem. Like, the industry is the problem. Nobody's on board for, like, insurance claims getting rejected. I mean, there are, obviously. There's a lot of people that will make a lot of money off of that. But it's just like being not pro-murder doesn't mean I'm like reject a bunch of health claims. Like, believe me, my psoriasis medication has been taken away from me because whatever, you know, they just decide, hey, we're cutting off the coverage for that now because you're getting that medicine a lot. And it's like, yeah, it's like a permanent medicine. I need it every month, always. And they're like, all right, well, you could try this other one. And it's like, well, I've tried that and that actually doesn't work. And then they're like, well, you're just going to do it anyway. And then you got to like do another medicine after that. That also doesn't work, whether you've tried it or already or not also. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. So like you could try the one you used to be on then and see if that works. And it's like, I already know that one works. We've done this all already. You know, so I understand. And there's way worse than that. You know, there's people with like cancer getting rejected and all these things. And that's not good, but let me tell you what happens when a company loses a CEO in any capacity. they get another one, and they get someone who they will deem best for the shareholders, who will do all the exact same things as the other guy. So it's not like you toppled a monarchy. Obviously they're going to be in shambles for like a couple weeks or however long it takes them to figure things out. And it's just like, just because that guy's rich and like, you know what I mean? It's like somebody even if the guy's a piece of shit, some other piece of shit's going to do it. Or maybe the guy's not a piece of shit and just wants a fat salary. Would I take a fat, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. That's the thing. I don't have balls big enough. But like you're telling me like you can't understand being like a rich guy? I'm not pro-rich unless I understand wanting to be rich though. Not defending the rich, but if I was rich, that would be better. You hate the rich because you're poor. I don't think it's that complicated. And I was also thinking so at the time of like the Trump assassination attempt, I had the exact same mentality. It's like, this is actually like really fucked up. And we should not be like cool about this. No matter what your stance is, it's just like all you're doing is enabling public murders. You're like, public murders should happen if they're in my personal preference. And it's just like, that's just so crazy. And is like way more so for like a candidate, I would say, political. People don't understand the can of worms that gets opened. It's like, yeah, in that moment, would that maybe be all right? Anyway, my point is like, did that influence this happening? And will this influence it happening way more times? And then when does that then turn into like the stakes even getting lower potentially? And it's just like, well, I killed my boss. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the precedent that it sets. It's not about whether or not, like, insurance company's a meanie, so kill him. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think you're, like, very unaware of how serious and real that is. Like, just because it's on your phone and in, like, the form of a meme doesn't make, like, murder not super serious. So I don't know. Everybody's brain is broken. And not literally everybody, but you know what I mean? There's just too many people whose brains are broken in any direction you want to point. And that is as alarming as anything else. Like, we're just like, yeah, whatever. Kill him. I'm going to laugh. Like, that's crazy. Who are you, the Joker? Like, in what scenario is that fine? Oh, so we'll put on some cartel beheading videos and have a laugh. Like, what are you talking about? Please, chickadee check yourself. All right. So that was fun, Luigi Mangione. I wish it would have went longer. I wish it, Luigi Mangione. Of course that's his name. But also one other thing that I'll add, the thing that doesn't help with like the conspiracy thing is like, okay, they say we've got his name, but we're not going to release it. They didn't have this guy's name as far as I can tell. And then they're like, we have detained a suspect, like using the proper terms. He's not arrested for murder. He's detained for questioning. But then I'm reading one of these like live update articles, so it's like every 5 minutes, sometimes it's every hour, whatever happens. But it's like, they'll say they've detained the suspect, and then right ahead they'll like, this is a win for the New York Police Department. This is police work at its finest. True police work being done here. I commend everybody involved for, solving this crime. And it's like, well, why are you saying you solved the crime? I thought that you detained a suspect. Like, I'm no fucking true crime junkie loser or anything like that. But that's just literally not what the things mean. And it's either like, why are you patting yourselves on the back before it's over? Or how about announce that he has been arrested and charged with the murder then, and then say that? So it's just odd to me that it's like, oh, we're done. We called a guy. Yeah, this kind of looks like that guy. But then, yeah, he conveniently has all the evidence in his backpack. But it's, what is that about? Why didn't you change your clothes? What? Why didn't you shave your eyebrows off when you got out of there? Just look like a psycho. You know, you keep wearing the mask and whatever. The eyebrows are too strong. Mangione. Those Italian eyebrows. You can't play with them. I don't like it. Something's fishy. Or not. But whatever. So yeah, if this show stops coming out, somebody disappeared me. So I'll put that on record. But that's also the thing. They spin all that. Like, you know, nobody's talking about the Boeing guy that committed suicide right before his deposition and said, if something happens to me, like, I definitely didn't kill myself. And they're like, no, that's what somebody who would kill themselves would say. It's like, I don't know, man. Like that, the Boeing shit. Listen, what's going on over there? And we're just letting that slide, right? Like, that's it. Because they're too valuable to the United States, technically, even though it's a disaster. Like, I don't know. And also, like, I don't know. Is Eric Adams maybe just like, he just like needs to satisfy Twitter? So that's also like the logical explanation of just like, yeah, we this is the guy. Like, just whatever. Everybody shut the fuck up now. You know? I don't know. He seems like an idiot, but I have no idea. Got to be better than BJ, though. Old Beej over here is a fucking moron. Anyway. You know, we'll keep an eye out for Luigi Mangione. 100% updates on the Ouija. We'll see what happens to that guy. It comes out that he's like Tommy DeVito's cousin. And he was like at the Giants game on Sunday or something. Anyway. The other thing I was going to talk about, I was hoping that I would have more to say, is the movie Y2K. Kyle Mooney's Y2K. An A24 horror comedy. An abject failure. I'm sorry, Kyle Mooney. And I don't like love Kyle Mooney, you know. We get it. It's like you're awkward and your character is that you're awkward and nervous and stupid. So like that's a fun combo. But like we get it. You know. One Note Kyle, you know. One Note Moon. That's it. Oh, that's his Korean name. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this was A24 even. Just that label is crazy. Alicia Silverstone, hard to recognize. Tim Heidecker, underutilized. I don't love Tim Heidecker either. So, you know, that wasn't gay of me to say. I mean, okay, so it's two kids. They're nerds. They want to get laid. It's the New Year's Eve party. It's Y2K. New Year's Eve 1999. And then Y2K happens for real. The premise is gold. Undeniably. I can't believe it took this long for something like this to come out. Just one of those idea versus execution. I mean, it's like 100 versus 10. It's just, there's just no execution of the idea really at all. It's not funny. Maybe a chuckle or two here or there. The acting isn't really all that good. The plot isn't really all that good. There's not really much action, suspense, horror, or anything. This seemed like this could have been made completely independently, like zero studio production involvement at all, like a complete DIY. Like film school in Idaho. Somebody managed to make this movie, and then it would be really impressive. But when you find out, it's like, no, this was made by like a studio with like budgets and unions and actors, and it's like, well, how did this happen? It basically starts out being super bad, like almost the beginning of super bad, with way less jokes and way less. You don't learn anything about any characters the whole time. That they miss that part where you're supposed to be funny and like low key teaching us something about the plot or the characters or something. Like good writing, like how that could be. It's super bad, and then it tries to turn into this is the end, and it's 5% of both at best. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. The one kid's a fat brown Australian, which, all those. I don't know if I've ever met an Australian person in my life. So it's just like, do we need Australian inclusion in movies? Like, and whatever. I'm glad that kid got a job, but it was just like, nobody's addressing it. And it's set in 1999. Everybody's just cool that there's just some giant Australian guy. I'm sorry. I thought that was jarring. Whatever. Like, no jokes about it at all. I don't know. It just didn't work really at all. I mean, okay, so anyway, the big Australian guy, it just becomes like the star of the party. And, this is like a movie trope that is just way too common at this point. I mean, and there's no reason for it at all. He just showed up and then just like started acting loud, and everybody was like, this guy is officially everybody's best friend. And it's just so not earned, whereas at least that happens like 90 minutes into a movie. There's, I don't know. They basically did like, we did like a 2-second thing where these guys get made fun of, and now they're going to be at the party like 1 minute later. And whatever they were worried about just isn't going to bother them. And like, nobody's going to bully them at all. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's no stakes in any moment. And then when the Y2K thing actually happens, like, it's fine. There's some like kind of good kills. And then they just leave the house, and there's just like no risk of anything. It's just really bad. I'm sorry, Kyle Mooney. Basically, the whole thing is just them like maybe having one encounter every 10 minutes with just like a big robot that they really easily defeat. And then they really easily defeat Y2K as high schoolers. Almost no effort really, other than just like, we need to walk somewhere. And then they just kind of, whatever adversity there is, they just kind of knock it out, no problem, without it being entertaining or anything. There's an extended cameo by Fred Durst that wasn't, it was shocking only at first, never got funny. And then he has a surprisingly good, like, real singing voice, but it just none of this was funny or anything. It didn't accomplish like one idea fully. They can't all be winners. I mean, I just don't know what to say. I want, I would love to like it. There's not a situation really where I'm like, I hope this movie's fucking dull and boring. Like I've said, of course, it makes it easier for me. It makes it easier for me to do a thing when I have complaints. Sure, I guess. But my preference is always, I hope I love this movie when I'm actually sitting to watch it. And this just is bland nothing, which is the worst option. Because what is there to say? Like, I could go through the plot, but like just not. It feels like nothing. It would sound like so much is happening, but I promise, like, it's just boring nothing. There's emphasis on all the wrong things in all the wrong moments, and they just don't build really anything at all. And the characters they do like introduce you to and tell you more about, they kill off. And then, like, either way, like, whatever you learn about a character, like, this one chick's like, I think I'm a lesbian, but then it's just like, it's over. It doesn't matter. It doesn't result in her like changing in any way or like going public with that, or like they even do a flash forward. It's not like she has a wife or something in that to where it even pays off to reveal it. They're basically just like, here's like stuff about people. They're just going to talk, and it, whatever. It might matter, it might not. And there maybe was a joke there, and you'll never know because nobody laughed. There's maybe like 6 other people in the theater with us. I don't know. Don't know why it's out in December. It would have been a better Dumpuary movie. I don't know how Den of Thieves 2 gets Dumpuary, but fucking Y2K gets award season release. But what do I know? That's the thing. Would somebody just fucking read my script? I don't know who to send it to. It's better. I promise. Anyway. Let me make a movie. I could, like, here's the thing. That's the thing. Everybody's like, oh, I see, you probably couldn't do that. It's like, I could make a shitty movie for sure. The thing is, let me do it, and we'll see if I could do it well, which I think I could. Obviously, I could make a shitty one. That's the whole point. But it's like, Count Mooney's so awkward and funny at it. It's like, okay. Direct it. What are we doing? But no, it's a great idea. I'm not trying to knock the guy. But you should have pitched this idea, and when they said we're in, gotten somebody to write it, and certainly direct it, and certainly somebody else to cast it. Just a tough hang. All right. I think that's going to wrap this one up. But we got to talk about the future schedule here. So as we get to like Christmas and New Year's bullshit, it's just really more of a like, nobody's going to listen to this shit. So why am I going to put out a episode, they're both Tuesdays. And either way, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day being middle of the week, no matter what, it just kind of fucks over both weeks. So I'm still like ironing out the details. But here's what I'm thinking, okay? So, unfortunately, I have to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and watch the Chicago Bears, get absolutely embarrassed. We'll do a sports corner after this, too, for the 3 of you that are interested in hearing about it. And, yeah, they're just going to get embarrassed. But regardless, that's on Monday, so I'm not even going to be around on Monday or Sunday or Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not recording, is the point. I think I'm just going to do like a little Bears miserable trip recap that Friday. Like I'm either going to record it by that Friday and release it over. So point is, no episode on Tuesday the 17th. And then somewhere from the 20th to the 23rd, I will release an episode. So it'll be a weird, like, week and a half plus off. And then That'll also like mitigate the time off after. So I'm thinking ahead there because I could just drop on the 17th, or I can't because I won't be there. You know what I mean? Like I could save it for Christmas Eve, but then that's Christmas Eve. So in order to like not take the full week off, I just got to do it later. But then I technically am just doing it early. So yeah, whatever. You get it. It's like a bi-weekly thing. And then for the New Year's week, we'll see. That one's less serious. I might just put it out on New Year's Eve. Maybe we'll put it out on January 2nd, something like that. So really we're only really skipping the Christmas week, I think is the plan. But the release schedule is just going to be a little weird until January 7th. Which is the first Tuesday in January. Will just be business as usual. And that should all stay the same, but I'll keep you posted if anything weird happens with that. But yeah, for the 4 or 5 of you individuals that are invested on the release schedule of this show, that's what's going to be happening. If you're listening in the future, I'm sorry you had to go through that. So we'll go to Sports Corner real quick. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say here. The weekly picks, preseason picks, I'm keeping track of them. I did the full year. 9-3, another great week. Honestly, this has been unbelievable. And I have the Cowboys on the Monday night. So that could be a 4th loss, whatever. My losers this week, if you wanted to go through it, I picked the Chargers over the Chiefs. That was a mistake. I picked the Bills over the Rams. You know, I don't know what happened there with their defense. And what was the other one? I picked the Falcons over the Vikings. Nailed every other pick. And then Cowboys over Bengals, so that one could be no, but who knows with their defense as well. So yeah, incredible streak. I honestly did a great job picking the entire season. I'm like, I have to be guaranteed to be over 500 by the end of the year. I don't know if that's true, but either way, I've been over 500 every week except one, I believe. Or at 500, whatever. We'd have to go back and check all the tapes. So the one thing I didn't do was then compile my each weekly record each week. So it's kind of all for naught. Yet again, I tried the whole thing was that it was the reconciliation of like, oh, I did the whole year picks on NFL on edibles. What for what? Am I going to keep tabs on those? And then I actually did keep tabs on them. And then didn't keep tabs on the tabs. So I'm just going to have to go through and like recount it one day and do like every week in total and then the total. I'll do that by the end of the year. Don't worry. I'm going to have to just to make it worth it. Anyway, the Bears are terrible. I don't get... I mean, especially in hindsight, but even at the time, it's like, why would you promote a guy to head coach after he'd been the offensive coordinator for like a week and a half? He had just gotten promoted, and the offense just started to look good. So it's like, oh, give him the job and take away his time with the offense and give him more responsibilities. It's like, well, if you want the offense to continue to look good and better, then keep him as the offensive coordinator and just promote whoever else. Who cares? We're cleaning house. Anyway, promote the special teams coordinator. Who gives a fuck? He sucks anyway. Promote the defensive coordinator who just got promoted because Eberflus got fired. I mean, he was technically the defensive coordinator anyway, but he was getting promoted to play caller. That's the same thing as giving Thomas Brown the thing, but guess what? It lets the offense be the focus, which is what we want. But no, let's take away more from the offense. And that's really my takeaway is after the game, Caleb Williams effectively said 2 major things that stuck with me. One of them was he called out fucking guys for not putting in effort in the locker room again. So, hey, this locker room is fucked. They're going to have to blow a bunch of this up, bunch of the depth guys up, at least anyway. Clearly, there's guys on this team who just are going through the motions and don't want to be there no matter what the situation is. So it's just fucked. And then what was the other thing? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. He basically said, things are just different, you know? Me and Thomas had a bunch of communication, and now he's got some other things to do, so some details got missed. It's like, all everybody talks about is how we miss details every week, and it's like he's basically just admitting, like, yeah, that he shouldn't have just gotten promoted to head coach. Like, this is crazy. And it's just the toxic cycle forever. I don't care if they get rid of Ryan Poles. The fuck has he done? I mean, this team's terrible. You know? And if it's because he didn't get the proper control, then whatever. Like, we fucked it. Whatever. And they'll probably make enough moves to get, you know, no matter what, I'm going to be back into optimism mode because I believe in Caleb and I believe in, a lot of the pieces on this offense. Cole Kmet can shut the fuck up, though. You know, the guy just drops a 2-pointer. Like, these guys are dropping these fucking balls acting like they're fucking studs because they have big contracts. Like, Cole and DJ, I'm sorry, you guys aren't leaders just because you're more talented. Like, you guys are losers. You're career losers, too. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm out on everybody right now. Tremaine Edmonds is a disaster. I've been saying that. I've been upset with him the whole time. I've not liked that signing. Jalen's the only one who truly deserves it, though, because he does go out and back it up. Every fucking week, he is locked. They don't throw to Jalen Johnson. And he maybe gets a catch or two on him a game for like 15 yards. Like, whatever. But also, had they made this D coordinator the head coach, like, that would have been a disaster. He's a fucking idiot. I mean, why are we still rushing 4 every play? We can't get any pressure. And then let's make the zone even softer against the against the team who just runs across the middle. They'll gash right through the zone. Like, this is their whole thing. Throwing over the middle. Let's give them more cushion than they're used to. Like, it's just nonsense. There's just no chance that anybody could have made this succeed now at this point in time. Like, you know. So I just feel terrible for Caleb Williams, like that he was brought into such a toxic, dysfunctional situation. And they're scrambling and making it worse now. Like, fire the coordinator, promote the other guy, fire the coach, promote the guy we just promoted. He's the best. And people just being like, he has Mike Tomlin qualities. It's like, yeah, we get it. He's young and he's black and he speaks very directly. Well, I mean, that's about as surface level as it gets. Why are we comparing him to Mike Tomlin? He's from the Sean McVay tree. I mean, it seemed like just abundantly offensive to just be like, he's like Mike Tomlin. They have a similar build and facial hair. Like, what? That I balked at that right away. But I mean, I like the things the guy says. Wouldn't he have been our offensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator if he were qualified to be head coach? Like, I think he's just, it's just too early for him, but it's impossible to say. He inherited a difficult situation beyond a difficult situation. There's just nothing good you can make of it. So it's just like, whatever. Let's hope they actually hire Mike Vrabel. And let's hope they get 3 new offensive linemen that are like, as close to surefire as can be, because other than that, it's all a disappointment. That's all that I want. You get the defensive line help, whatever. But sign an O lineman or 2, draft 2 or 3 O linemen with those first 3 picks. And spend money on the defensive line, whatever. I don't care. Like, get the offense right for Caleb. Fuck, you guys aren't going to win a fucking thing. You're not turning it around next year. It's done. Like, so that's where I'm at. That's been Sports Corner. Thank you for tuning in to Requiem for a Tuesday. The schedule will be somewhat similar to that disjointed mess that what I told you. The message probably wasn't that clear, but there will be an episode again this year. There will be 1 to 2 more episodes. We'll see what happens. Thank Thanks for tuning in. Rate, review, and subscribe. And remember, check the links in the bio. And remember, I are fat, you are fat, we are fat. Calculator.